Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween Podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez. It's September 30th, 2024, and you're listening to episode 19 of our Haunted America series. Today, we're traveling to the East Coast to Maine, a state known for its rugged coastline, dense forests, and plenty of ghost stories. We got some haunted lighthouses, eerie inns. Maine has a rich history of the paranormal. So grab your blankets for this one, guys, because it's about to get chilly in the Pine Tree State. First, let's sail over to the Seguin Island Lighthouse, located off the coast of Phippsburg. Built in 1795 by order of George Washington, this lighthouse is the second oldest in Maine and has seen its fair share of tragedy over the centuries. One of the most chilling tales is that of a lighthouse keeper and his young wife who lived here in the 1800s. To keep his wife entertained during the long, isolated winters, the keeper bought her a piano. But the piano only came with one piece of sheet music. She played the same tune over and over, day and night, until the repetition drove him mad. In a fit of rage, he grabbed an axe, destroyed the piano, and then murdered his wife before taking his own life. Even today, visitors claim to hear the faint notes of that piano playing in the wind, especially on foggy nights. The melody seems to come from nowhere, growing louder, then suddenly stopping. Others have reported seeing the ghost of the keeper standing at the top of the tower, his face pale and tormented. Some have even felt sudden drops in temperatures, cold drafts bursting past them, and the distant feeling of being watched. The lighthouse is still open for tours, but many who visit say they leave with a sense of dread, feeling like they've stepped back into the past, where the tragedy is still being played out. Next, we find ourselves at the Kennebunk Inn, a historic establishment built in the 1790s that has hosted countless guests over its long history. However, it's the ghost of one particular guest who seems to have never checked out. Silas Perkins, a former night watchman who passed away in the inn in the 1950s, is said to still roam the halls, keeping watch from beyond the grave. Lights flicker unexpectedly, and guests often hear their names whispered when no one else is around. Perkins is known for his mischievous antics. Guests frequently report their belongings being moved or hidden, and some have even been locked out of their rooms, as if someone or something doesn't want them inside. Several guests have seen shadowy figures at the foot of their beds, and others have felt a cold hand brush their shoulder or heard faint laughter echoing through the empty halls. Staff members have noticed that the inn's antique clocks often stop at the exact time of Silas's death. The Kennebunk Inn remains open, offering a blend of historic charm and perhaps a few ghostly encounters for those willing to stay. Our next stop is Fort William Henry in New Harbor, a fort with a storied past dating back to 1692. Originally built by the British to defend against French and Native American attacks, the fort has seen bloody battles, massacres, and devastating fires. It was destroyed by French forces in 1696 and rebuilt only to face more conflict and tragedy. Many believe the spirits of the soldiers who fought and died here remain. Visitors often report seeing a red-coated soldier patrolling the grounds at dusk, his eyes scanning the horizon for enemies long gone. During quiet mornings, the sound of musket fire can still be heard, accompanied by distant cries of men in pain. Some have even seen entire ghostly regiments performing drills on the parade grounds, their forms barely visible in the mist, only to vanish as suddenly as they appeared. On cold nights, the air is filled with the faint smell of gunpowder. The echo of cannon fire can be heard rolling off in the distant hills. The fort is now a historic site, drawing those who seek both a history lesson and a brush with the paranormal. Next, we travel to Captain Fairfield's Inn in Kennebunk Port. Alright guys, I keep hearing the sound of somebody snoring. I don't know what it is. I'm in the basement, far away from anybody sleeping. It's 9 p.m. right now, and I'm recording in the basement, and I keep hearing the sound of somebody snoring. I honestly think I'm gonna need some sage after I'm done with Haunted America. I'm gonna have to sage down here in the basement. I don't get scared easily, but if you've noticed some of the other episodes, I've had to stop in the middle of some and at the end of some because I keep hearing something. It stopped now, finally. I mean, you can't hear it because the mic has like this filter on it, but the freezer next to me is on and it's blaring, but I don't think the microphone can pick that up. And I don't think it's going to pick up that snoring that I keep hearing. But, oh, there we go. The freezer stopped. And I literally just saw something behind me. Oh my gosh, guys. There was literally something standing behind me, and there's nobody here. Well, everybody's upstairs asleep. That is crazy. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's continue with Kennebunk Port. All right. I guess I'll start from the beginning. Next, we travel to Captain Fairfield Inn in Kennebunk Port, a stately home built in 1813 by Captain James Fairfield, a sea captain who tragically died at sea while still in his prime. His widow Lois continued to live in the home, filled with sorrow. It's believed that the captain, and perhaps even his wife, never truly left. And if that's you, Captain James Fairfield behind me, please go away. Guests have reported seeing the apparition of a man in a long, dark coat standing by their beds late at night, watching them sleep with a calm yet intense gaze. The ghostly figure is often seen disappearing into walls or moving through closed doors. Some have heard the soft sounds of footsteps on the stairs or the creaking of the old wooden floors. Lois's spirit is said to manifest itself in the form of a faint, sweet-smelling perfume that fills the air. And some guests have felt a cold breeze followed by a soft, comforting whisper that seems to come from nowhere. The inn remains a favorite for visitors, offering both a glimpse into Maine's maritime history and a possible meeting with its ghostly residents. Our next stop is Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor, one of the oldest garden cemeteries in the United States, established in 1836. The cemetery covers over 300 acres and is filled with elaborate tombstones and ancient trees that cast long, eerie shadows. But it's not just a place of rest for the dead. It's also a hotspot for ghostly activity. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures moving among the graves, sometimes vanishing right before their eyes. A mysterious lady in white is often seen gliding through the cemetery, her face pale and sad. Witnesses have described her as flowing just above the ground, leaving no footprints behind. On moonlit nights, a thick mist often rolls in, and some have seen shapes forming in the fog, figures that seem to wait and watch, then fade away. Children's laughter is heard echoing through the trees, but no children are ever seen. Legend says that if you listen closely at dusk, you can hear the distant sound of a horse-drawn carriage, perhaps the ghostly remnants of a funeral procession from long ago. The cemetery is open to the public, but those who venture in after dark often come away with more than what they bargained for. Next, we explore the Kennebec Arsenal in Augusta, a 19th century military facility with a dark and tragic history. Originally built in 1828, the arsenal was later converted into a mental hospital. Many patients suffered terrible conditions, and it's believed that the spirits of those who passed away there never truly found peace. Passers-by often report seeing figures in old hospital gowns standing silently in the windows, staring blankly out at the street below. Some have heard soft, mournful cries or the sound of someone moaning from within the empty walls. Ghostly faces have been seen peering out from behind curtains, and shadowy forms have been witnessed darting through the empty hallways. People have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness, dread, or even panic just by stepping onto the grounds. The smell of antiseptic and burning wood has also been noticed by visitors, along with the sensation of being watched by many unseen eyes. The buildings are now abandoned, but they continue to draw ghost hunters and thrill seekers, all hoping for an experience with the paranormal. Next, we journey to the Wood Island Lighthouse, located off the coast of Bideford Pool. Built in 1808, this lighthouse has witnessed its share of tragedy. One of the most notorious events occurred in 1896, when a keeper, Joseph Willard, shot a man in a drunken rage before turning the gun on himself. Since then, the lighthouse has been haunted by their restless spirits. Visitors often hear the unmistakable sound of footsteps on the stairs leading up to the lighthouse, followed by a sudden loud bang, like a gunshot, echoing over the water. Some have seen a shadowy figure in the lighthouse tower window, staring out at the sea, as if waiting for something or someone that never arrives. The wind often carries faint whispers, and on a dark, stormy night, people have reported feeling an icy hand brush against their necks or shoulders. The lighthouse is now automated, but it remains a popular spot for ghost hunters and history buffs who hope to catch a glimpse of its spectral keepers. Next on our list is the Jameson Tavern in Freeport, built in 1779. Known as the birthplace of Maine, this historic tavern was a meeting place for political discussion during the fight of Maine's statehood. But it also has a reputation for being haunted by the spirits from the past. A young girl in a white dress is often seen wandering through the dining room. Her face appears in mirrors before vanishing into thin air. Guests and staff have reported hearing heavy footsteps on the old wooden floors when no one is around, and some have felt a light, icy touch on their shoulder, only to find themselves completely alone. The spirit of an elderly woman, believed to be a former innkeeper, is often seen rearranging chairs or adjusting the table settings, ensuring everything is perfect for guests who no longer arrive. Late at night, the faint sound of clinking glasses and whispered conversations can be heard, as if the tavern is hosting a ghostly party for another era. The tavern remains open, inviting diners who might just get more than what they expected. Now we arrive at the Victoria Mansion in Portland, a stunning example of Italianate architecture built in 1860. The mansion, also known as the Morse Libby House, has a reputation for paranormal activity that matches its grandeur. The ghost of its original owner, Ruggles Sylvester Morse, a wealthy hotelier, is said to wander the halls, keeping a watchful eye on his former home. Visitors and staff have reported seeing his apparition dressed in a black suit, standing in doorways or peering out from windows. The scent of cigar smoke often lingers in rooms where no one has smoked in decades. Heavy footsteps echo through the empty hallways, and on some nights, the sound of distant music and soft laughter fills the air, as if a party from the past is still underway. Some have seen the figure of a woman in Victorian attire looking out the windows, her expression one of deep sadness. Objects have been known to move on their own, doors slam shut, and some visitors have felt an intense rush of cold air, as if something unseen has just passed them. The mansion is open for tours, offering a chance to experience both Maine's history and its spectral residents. Our final stop is the Lucerne Inn, a picturesque inn located in Denham. Built in the early 19th century, the inn is said to be haunted by the spirits of a bride and groom who died there on their wedding night under mysterious circumstances. Guests have reported seeing a woman in a flowing white gown standing at the foot of their beds, her eyes filled with tears, or walking through the halls late at night, her dress trailing behind her like a whisper. Others have heard soft, sorrowful sobbing coming from empty rooms or felt a cold breeze sweep through the room, even when all the windows are shut tight. Staff members have seen shadowy figures moving through the kitchen and dining room, and the sound of a woman's voice singing a mournful love song has been heard in the dead of night. The inn remains open, offering beautiful views, comfortable rooms, and perhaps a brush with the paranormal for those brave enough to stay. And that's it, guys. That concludes our look at the state of Maine. Maine's filled with a lot of restless spirits, I tell you. And I think that ghost that was in here earlier has finally left, because I don't feel it anymore. I don't feel it looking at me. And I haven't heard any more crazy noises. So, yeah, it's only alarming because this microphone is supposed to get rid of all of the quiet noises. So if I can hear it in my headphones, it's loud enough. And then when I take the headphones off, I don't hear anything. So that's how I basically know that something's there. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying this Haunted America tour, please, please, please leave me a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts from. I really would appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or want to suggest anything for a future show, go ahead, send me an email, thehalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, head on over to our website, thehalloweenpodcast.com. Go to our merch store, check out all of the cool stuff that's there. I got postcards, I got shirts, I got stickers, whatever you'd like. I got it up there. So go ahead and buy a couple of things and support the Halloween podcast. And let's not forget about the Facebook page, facebook.com/thehalloweenpodcast. And don't forget to share the show with your ghost-loving friends. So join me tomorrow as we continue Haunted America with a look at the state of Maryland. We'll explore some haunted battlefields, historic mansions, and so much more. Until then, guys, I will see you later. Have a good night.